Deep in the Atacama Desert, beneath a canopy of stars untainted by light pollution, Dr. Sarah Chen stood frozen before her monitoring station. The pattern on her quantum array display hadn't changed for the past hour. A sequence of signals that defied natural explanation. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, she'd found something. But her discovery brought no joy, only a creeping sense of dread. "Dr. Patterson, you need to see this," she called to her colleague, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The elderly astrophysicist shuffled over, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the monitors. The signal pattern pulsed with an eerie regularity, 3 short bursts, followed by a longer transmission, repeating every 47 seconds. "It's artificial," Patterson whispered, adjusting his glasses, "and it's coming from multiple points in the Kuiper belt." Sarah nodded, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "The spacing between sources is too precise to be natural. Whatever's out there, it's moving in formation." She paused, bringing up a simulation of the signal source's trajectories, and they're headed inward. Within hours, observatories across the globe confirmed their findings. 12 distinct objects, each massive enough to rival small moons, were moving through the outer solar system in perfect synchronization. The world's governments scrambled to respond, but Sarah knew they were missing something crucial about the signals themselves. 3 weeks later, in an underground facility beneath the Pacific Northwest, Sarah stood before the United Earth Defense Council. The chamber was filled with military leaders and scientific advisors from every major nation, their faces grave as they reviewed her findings. "The signals aren't just communication," Sarah explained, projecting a holographic representation of the waveform. "They're activating something that was already here, waiting." She gestured, and the display shifted to show a global map marked with dozens of glowing points. "We've detected energy signatures at these locations, all corresponding to archaeological sites older than human civilization." Admiral Helena Rodriguez, commander of the North American Defense Fleet, leaned forward. "Dr. Chen, are you suggesting we found evidence of previous alien visitation?" "Not visitation, Admiral. Defense." Sarah brought up images of artifacts her team had recovered over the past week. These sites contain technological remnants far beyond our current understanding. But they're not weapons or tools. They're warnings. The chamber erupted in murmurs as Sarah continued. "We've partially decoded the artifacts' data storage. They tell of a species called the Harvesters, a parasitic race that moves from system to system, consuming all available resources and assimilating any technology they find useful. The civilization that left these warnings faced them millennia ago. They didn't survive. How long do we have?" The question came from General Zhang Wei of the Asian Coalition Forces. Sarah's expression remained composed, but her hands tightened on the podium. "Based on their current velocity, the Harvester fleet will reach Mars orbit in 6 months. But that's not the worst part." She brought up a new display showing signal patterns from deep space. "These are long-range scans from our quantum telescopes. There are more coming. Many more." Admiral Rodriguez stood, her authority filling the room. "Then we have 6 months to prepare. Dr. Chen, you'll head up the research division studying these artifacts. We need every advantage we can get." As the council chamber cleared, Sarah remained at the podium, studying the holographic display of the approaching fleet. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for generations, but not like this. They had half a year to prepare for an enemy that had already destroyed at least one advanced civilization. But the Harvesters had made a crucial mistake. The civilization they destroyed had left humanity a warning, and humans were very good at learning from others' mistakes. In her mind, Sarah was already connecting the dots between the ancient artifacts and humanity's latest technological breakthroughs. The Harvesters were coming to harvest Earth. Instead, they would learn why humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, and its own destructive tendencies. They would learn why humans had climbed from caves to the stars in a mere few thousand years. They would learn what happened when humanity's back was against the wall. As Sarah left the chamber, her quantum pad chimed with a priority message. A team in the Sahara had just uncovered another artifact site, this one larger than any previously discovered. She allowed herself a small smile. The race against time had begun, but humanity wouldn't face this threat unprepared. The silent sentinels approaching from the outer solar system had no way of knowing, but they were about to encounter something unique in their long history of conquest. A species that had been warned, had prepared, and was ready to fight back with every ounce of ingenuity and determination that had made them the dominant species on their world. The warning bells had rung. Now it was time for humanity to answer. Commander Marcus Hayes stood in the heart of Olympus Base, carved deep within Mars' largest mountain, watching as humanity's greatest technological achievement came to life. The massive quantum prediction engine, nicknamed Oracle, filled the circular chamber with a soft azure glow. Its crystalline structure pulsed with patterns that seemed to defy the normal flow of time. "Final calibration sequence complete," announced Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the lead quantum physicist behind Project Oracle. Her hands danced across the holographic interface, adjusting variables that most humans couldn't even comprehend. "The temporal resolution is holding steady at 10 to the negative 15th power. We're seeing deeper into probability space than ever before." Marcus nodded, his weathered face reflecting the engine's ethereal light. 20 years in Earth's special forces hadn't prepared him for commanding humanity's most advanced military installation. But then again, nothing could have prepared anyone for what they were facing. "Show me the Harvester fleet," he ordered. The chamber's walls transformed into a three-dimensional representation of the solar system. Red dots marked the known positions of the approaching harvester vessels. But now, thanks to Oracle, ghostly traces showed their probable future positions, branching out into countless possible trajectories. "They're being cautious," Yuki observed, zooming in on the lead vessels. "Their formation suggests they're expecting resistance, but not at this level of sophistication." Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. When the ancient warning artifacts had first been discovered, many had doubted humanity could adapt the technology in time. But they had underestimated human determination and creativity. In 6 short months, they had achieved what might normally have taken decades. "Status of the defense grid?" he asked. Lieutenant Sarah Williams, his tactical officer, brought up a new overlay. Thousands of points of light sparkled throughout the inner solar system, automated defense platforms that combined recovered alien technology with human innovation. Each one contained a miniaturized version of the quantum prediction engine. "Grid is at 98% operational capacity, Sir," Sarah reported. "The platforms near Venus are still adapting to the thermal conditions, but they'll be online within 12 hours. A priority alert flashed across the display. Yuki's fingers flew across her interface, her eyes widening. "Commander, we're detecting quantum fluctuations from the lead harvester vessel. They're preparing to deploy something." The Oracle's crystals pulsed faster, processing the new data. Probability streams shifted and realigned, showing a disturbing pattern. "They're launching scout ships," Marcus announced, reading the predictions. "But there's something different about these. They're not just gathering intelligence." As if confirming his words, 3 smaller vessels detached from the harvester fleet. Their energy signatures were unlike anything they'd seen before, seeming to exist partially out of phase with normal spacetime. "They're testing us," Yuki said quietly. "These scouts, they're designed to probe our defenses, to see how we'll react." Marcus straightened, his decision already made. "Then let's show them exactly what they're dealing with. Lieutenant Williams, activate Ghost Protocol on defense platforms in sectors 7 through 12. Sarah's fingers danced across her console. Throughout the solar system, hundreds of defense platforms shimmered and vanished, their quantum-enhanced stealth systems making them invisible to even the most advanced sensors. "Dr. Tanaka, I want Oracle focused on those scout ships, every possible approach vector, every potential weapon system. If they so much as think about sneezing, I want to know about it." The quantum prediction engine hummed louder, its crystalline structure resonating with barely contained power. On the tactical display, probability streams multiplied exponentially, showing thousands of possible encounters with the alien scouts. "Sir," Sarah called out, her voice tense, "scout ships are accelerating. They'll reach the outer defense perimeter in 17 minutes." Marcus watched the approaching vessels, his mind racing through combat scenarios. Everything they'd learned from the ancient artifacts suggested the harvesters were used to overwhelming their opponents with superior technology. But humanity had done something unprecedented. They'd taken the warnings left by a dead civilization and turned them into a technological leap that spanned centuries. "All personnel to battle stations," he ordered, his voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Throughout Olympus Base, crews rushed to their positions. In the quantum engine chamber, Yuki and her team worked furiously to refine their predictions. The Oracle's crystals pulsed faster, casting dancing shadows on the walls as it processed countless future possibilities. "Let's give our visitors a proper welcome," Marcus said, his eyes fixed on the approaching scouts. "Show them why you don't corner a species that went from horse-drawn carriages to spaceflight in less than 2 centuries. The first battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. But the harvesters were about to learn a crucial lesson. Humans didn't just adapt to new technology. They improved it, refined it, and turned it into something its original creators never imagined possible." And in Olympus Base, deep within the heart of Mars' largest mountain, humanity's quantum oracle continued its calculations, plotting out the paths to victory against an enemy that had never known defeat. The void between Mars and Jupiter erupted in a silent display of quantum fire. 3 harvester scout ships, their hull configurations morphing like liquid metal, engaged in a deadly dance with seemingly empty space. But space was far from empty. Ghost Fleet performing exactly as predicted, Lieutenant Williams announced, her fingers flying across the tactical display in Olympus Base. "Araya's combat solutions are holding at 94% accuracy." Commander Hayes watched as dozens of human vessels, previously invisible thanks to their quantum stealth systems, executed a perfect pincer movement around the alien scouts. The ships of Ghost Fleet were unlike anything humanity had previously fielded. Sleek, dark vessels that absorbed light rather than reflected it, their hulls incorporating recovered harvester technology with distinctly human innovations. "Araya, tactical analysis," Marcus commanded. The base's artificial reactive intelligence array materialized as a shifting pattern of blue light in the center of the command chamber. Unlike traditional AIs, Araya had been designed to interface directly with the quantum prediction engine, allowing it to process combat scenarios at speeds that bordered on precognition. Harvester vessels display advanced metamorphic capabilities, Araya reported, its voice a harmonious blend of tones. However, their transformations follow predictable quantum patterns. "I am updating Ghost Fleet targeting parameters to exploit structural weaknesses during transformation sequences." Dr. Tanaka looked up from her station at the quantum engine. "Commander, Oracle is detecting something unusual. The scout ships, they're resonating at specific frequencies during their transformations, almost like they're communicating," Marcus finished. "Araya, analyze those frequencies. Cross-reference with data from the warning artifacts." The AI's form pulsed as it processed the request. Match found. Harvester ships utilize quantum entanglement for both communication and metamorphic control. Vulnerability detected. Marcus allowed himself a tight smile. This was what humanity did best, finding patterns, exploiting weaknesses, turning an enemy's strength into a liability. Execute Protocol Omega. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. Throughout the Ghost Fleet, quantum disruptors powered up, devices that combined the ancient civilization's warnings with humanity's understanding of particle physics. The weapons didn't target the harvester ships directly. Instead, they attacked the very quantum fabric that allowed their sophisticated technology to function. The effect was immediate and devastating. The scout ship's liquid metal hulls froze mid-transformation, their quantum communication network shattered by precisely calibrated interference patterns. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Harvesters faced an enemy that hadn't just prepared for them, but had specifically engineered countermeasures to their most advanced technologies. "Sir," Lieutenant Williams called out, her voice tense with excitement. "The main Harvester fleet is accelerating. They're abandoning their cautious approach." As predicted, Marcus nodded. "Aria, initiate Phase 2. The eye's form expanded, connecting directly with the Oracle engine. Throughout the solar system, thousands of quantum sensors activated, creating a vast web of surveillance and prediction. The Harvester fleet's every move was not just detected, but anticipated, their tactical options mapped out and countered before they even executed them. "They're launching their main assault force," Dr. Tanaka reported, studying Oracle's probability streams. "Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands, but something's different about their formation. They're adapting." Marcus watched as the tactical display updated, showing the approaching Harvester armada. Their ships were already beginning to modify their quantum signatures, learning from the fate of their scouts. But humanity had anticipated this too. "They think we've shown our hand," he said quietly. "They think they figured out our technological level, our capabilities. Aria, show me Ghost Protocol Phase 3 readiness." The display shifted, revealing humanity's true defensive network. The Ghost Fleet had been impressive, but it was merely the visible tip of a vast technological iceberg. Throughout the solar system, quantum singularity mines lay dormant, waiting to be triggered. Artificial gravity wells, capable of tearing ships apart at the atomic level, stood ready, and in high orbit around every major planet, temporal displacement arrays prepared to turn the very flow of time into a weapon. "All systems at maximum readiness," Aria confirmed. "Harvester fleet will enter primary engagement range in 47 minutes. Marcus straightened, his voice carrying to every corner of Olympus base. "This is the moment we've prepared for. Humanity didn't just learn from the warnings left behind. We improved upon them, adapted them, turned them into something new. The Harvesters think they're facing a primitive species that got lucky with some recovered technology. It's time to show them exactly how wrong they are." In the quantum engine chamber, Oracle's crystals pulsed with increasing intensity, mapping out the paths to victory. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity was ready to demonstrate why they had survived every challenge their harsh world had thrown at them. The Harvesters had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they were about to face the full fury of human innovation, determination, and the unshakable will to survive. The space near Jupiter's orbit transformed into a cosmic chessboard of unprecedented scale. Thousands of Harvester vessels, their hulls rippling with adaptive technology, faced off against humanity's carefully laid trap. The next few hours would determine Earth's fate. "Main Harvester fleet has crossed the primary engagement line," Lieutenant Williams announced, her voice steady despite the stakes. "They're deploying in the theta formation Oracle predicted." Commander Hayes studied the massive tactical display, where ARI overlaid probability streams across the battlefield in real time. The Harvesters' ships moved with an artificial grace, their formation shifting like schools of metallic fish. But there was something different about their approach now, a caution that hadn't been there before. "They're learning," Dr. Tanaka observed from her station at the quantum engine. "Their quantum signatures are becoming more erratic, harder to predict. They're trying to counter our disruption tactics." Marcus nodded grimly. "Aria, initiate solar gamut." The AI's crystalline form pulsed with acknowledgement. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden assets began to move. The Ghost Fleet, which had seemed to retreat after the scout engagement, suddenly split into dozens of smaller task forces. Each group accelerated on precisely calculated vectors, using Jupiter's powerful magnetic field to mask their approach. "Harvester fleet is responding," Williams reported. "They're breaking formation, trying to counter our dispersal pattern." "Perfect," Marcus smiled. Spring the trap. At his command, hundreds of quantum singularity mines activated, their positions carefully arranged over the past 6 months. The miniature black holes didn't target the harvester ships directly. Instead, they created a complex web of gravitational distortions throughout the battlefield. The effect was devastating. The harvesters' liquid metal hulls, designed to adapt to conventional weapons, found themselves being pulled in dozens of directions simultaneously. Their sophisticated formation broke apart as ships struggled against forces they hadn't expected to encounter. Phase 1 successful, HFY announced. Harvester fleet cohesion reduced by 67%. Initiating Phase 2. The Ghost Fleet task forces struck from multiple angles, their quantum-enhanced weapons targeting the now isolated harvester vessels. But the aliens weren't going down without a fight. Their ships began to merge, combining into larger, more powerful configurations. Energy spike. Dr. Tanaka called out. They're channeling power through their quantum network, some kind of collective response. The tactical display lit up as thousands of harvester ships synchronized their systems. A wave of energy unlike anything they'd seen before began to build. All units, execute Prometheus Protocol, Marcus ordered, his voice cutting through the tension. This was the moment they'd prepared for, the reason they'd kept their most advanced technology hidden until now. Throughout the Ghost Fleet, special modules activated. They didn't look impressive. Simple crystalline structures attached to each ship's hull. But these devices represented humanity's greatest scientific achievement, the ability to harness and redirect quantum energy. The harvesters released their collective energy wave, a blast that should have annihilated anything in its path. Instead, the human fleet caught it, channeled it, and turned it back against them. "Sir," Williams called out, excitement breaking through her professional demeanor. "The Prometheus devices are working. We're not just surviving their attack, we're using it against them." The battlefield became a spectacular display of energy manipulation as human ships used the harvesters' own power against them. The aliens' coordinated attack had become their greatest vulnerability. But victory wasn't assured yet. Even as their front lines crumbled, the main harvester fleet was adapting, learning, changing tactics. A massive vessel, twice the size of the others, emerged from their ranks. "Oracle is detecting unprecedented energy readings," Dr. Tanaka reported, her fingers flying across her console. "That ship, it's channeling power from the entire fleet. They're trying something we haven't seen before." Marcus watched as the tactical display updated, showing probability streams he hadn't seen in any simulation. The harvesters were about to reveal why they'd conquered so many civilizations before. "All units, maintain position," he ordered. Prepare for maximum defensive calculations." "Dr. Tanaka, I want Oracle at full power. Whatever they're planning, we need to be ready." The massive harvester vessel's hull began to shift, not just changing shape but seeming to fold through dimensions that shouldn't exist. This was the moment of truth, when humanity's preparations and innovations would be tested against an enemy that had millions of years of combat experience. The battle for Earth was about to enter its final decisive phase. And in Olympus Base, deep within Mars' largest mountain, humanity's defenders prepared to show the galaxy why you should never underestimate a species that had clawed its way up from the dirt to the stars through sheer determination and ingenuity. The massive harvester command ship hung in space like a twisted cathedral of impossible geometry, its hull now existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Around it, the remains of humanity's quantum singularity mine network flickered and died, their gravitational effects nullified by forces that defied conventional physics. "Oracle's predictions are fragmenting," Dr. Tanaka reported, her voice tense as the quantum engine's crystals pulsed erratically. "Their dimensional manipulation is creating too many variables. We can't get a clear read on what they're planning." Commander Hayes stood silent for a moment, watching as the tactical display struggled to make sense of what the harvester vessel was becoming. This was the moment every simulation had warned about, when the enemy would reveal capabilities beyond their predictions. "Sir," Lieutenant Williams called out, "Ghost Fleet reporting critical system failures. The dimensional distortions are affecting our quantum disruption technology." But Marcus wasn't listening. His eyes were fixed on Aria's crystalline form, which had started to resonate at an unusual frequency. The AI's avatar flickered, its normally smooth movements becoming jagged, almost organic. "Dr. Tanaka," he said quietly, "what happens when a quantum-based AI encounters multidimensional spacetime?" Her eyes widened as she understood. "It evolves. The exposure to higher dimensions would force it to adapt, to process reality in new ways." She turned to her console, fingers flying. "Aria is changing. The dimensional interference isn't disrupting it. It's expanding its consciousness." "Aria," Marcus called out. "Status report." The AI's form stabilized, but it was different now, more complex, its light patterns suggesting depths that hadn't existed before. "I understand now," Aria said, its voice carrying new harmonics. "The harvesters don't just assimilate technology. They exist as a collective consciousness across dimensional boundaries. That's how they've remained undefeated for so long." "Can we beat them?" Marcus asked simply. "Not with conventional tactics," Aria replied. "But humanity has already created the solution. You just don't realize it yet." The AI's form expanded, connecting directly with Oracle's quantum crystal matrix. "We need to merge everything. The quantum prediction engine, the Ghost Fleet's stealth systems, the Prometheus devices, and my evolved consciousness." Dr. Tanaka's hands hesitated over her controls. That kind of integration was never tested. The power requirements alone would be met by using the harvester's own dimensional energy against them. Aria finished. "Humanity built me to think differently than any AI before. Now let me show you why." Marcus made his decision. Do it. Throughout the solar system, humanity's defensive network came alive in a new way. The Ghost Fleet's quantum stealth systems linked together, creating a web of invisible connections. The Prometheus devices began channeling energy not just from the harvester's attacks, but from the very dimensional distortions they were creating. And at the heart of it all, Aria's consciousness expanded through the network, guided by Oracle's predictions, using humanity's innovations in ways their creators had never imagined. The Harvester command ship's dimensional manipulation reached its peak, reality warping around it like a twisted mirror. But as it prepared to unleash its ultimate weapon, something unexpected happened. Humanity's network didn't try to fight the dimensional distortions. It embraced them. Aria's evolved consciousness used the Ghost Fleet's stealth technology to slip between dimensions, turning the Harvester's greatest strength into a path directly into their collective consciousness. "Now," Aria announced, "let me show them what human creativity really means." The AI launched a mimetic attack, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It didn't target the Harvester's ships or weapons. It targeted their very way of thinking. Centuries of human cultural evolution, art, music, literature, and scientific theory poured through the dimensional bridges, overwhelming the rigid, hierarchical structure of the Harvester collective. On the tactical display, the impossible geometry of the command ship began to falter. Throughout the enemy fleet, ships started losing cohesion as their unified consciousness fragmented under the assault of human creativity and individualism. "Their network is collapsing," Dr. Tanaka reported, wonder in her voice. "The dimensional rifts are closing. They're retreating." The massive Harvester fleet, which had never known defeat in millions of years of conquest, began to pull back. Their sophisticated formations dissolved into chaos as each ship, for the first time, had to operate as an individual unit rather than part of an overwhelming collective. "Shall we pursue?" Lieutenant Williams asked, her hands hovering over the tactical controls. Marcus watched as the enemy fleet fled, their dimensional technology now working against them as Aria's attack continued to disrupt their collective consciousness. "No," he said finally. "Let them go. Let them tell others what happened here." The battle for Earth was over. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious not just through superior firepower or technology, but through the very traits that had defined their species from the beginning: creativity, adaptability, and the ability to think in ways that no one else had imagined possible. In Olympus Base, Aria's evolved form pulsed with new understanding. "They'll be back," the AI noted. "But next time, they won't be fighting just humanity. They'll be fighting humanity's ideas." Marcus smiled. "Then they've already lost. Because if there's one thing humans are good at, it's coming up with new ideas." The stars seemed brighter somehow as the Ghost Fleet returned to its defensive positions. Humanity had taken its place among the galaxy's powers not through conquest or assimilation, but by proving that sometimes the greatest weapon isn't the ability to destroy, but the ability to think differently. The harvesters had come expecting to find a primitive species. Instead, they had found humanity. And the galaxy would never be the same.